Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Story, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time to spend with me. I'm Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press, and I'll be flying solo this week. Kira Patterson is out as we speak right now on assignment covering a news-related event. Casper Werhan away for the day. And Ken Waddell away for the day. So as I said, I'm sort of flying solo on this. I promise I'm still going to try and make it a good show, and I guarantee we'll have a better one next week if we don't. Fortunately, though, we have enough interesting news from in and around Neepawa to sort of help me out with this, notwithstanding the very front page. We're going to do some follow-up on Truth and Reconciliation Day. It was part of our front page coverage in last week's edition of the paper, and this week is no exception because we have more information. It was in regard to some of the goings-on through Arts Forward Cultural Center right here in Neepawa. They felt that Truth and Reconciliation Day was very important. They were a leader in regard to the event that occurred at the high school, the ceremonies that went on in last week's edition of the paper. They also spearheaded what you're going to see on our front page, a heart garden. They coordinated with representatives from the local schools, and they made up these little hearts to represent the Indigenous society, Indigenous culture. And there were over 600 hearts, a little more than that, and when they maxed them out there. It was wonderful to be able to see that type of representation and to see that type of synergy working together in this means. Neepawa does not have a particularly large Aboriginal representation within it. StatsCan's most recent sort of population surveys indicated that. But that doesn't mean that it should be ignored. I don't think that at all. I think it's a very important part of Canadian culture and Canadian representation. And it's been for so long, it has been sort of set aside and not given the proper representation that it deserves. So unfortunately, this came from tragedy. The fact that a lot of our eyes were opened to this came through tragedy, but hopefully we can move forward and be able to give that representation the spotlight that it so richly deserves. Having been raised myself, I was raised up north in Thompson, Manitoba, a large Indigenous population up there, and I interacted with them all the time. They were friends of mine. They were like family in some cases. So I sort of grew up around that culture and seeing the spiritualism and the significance behind it. So I hope that Neepawa gets some of that from this because it is very significant, and we're very pleased to be able to sort of share that with you. And you can see that. It is on the front page of this week's edition of the Banner Press. You can pick up a hard copy pretty much anywhere in Neepawa. We also are in all the outlying communities throughout Neepawa. Now, if you can't get a hard copy, you can always go, of course, to mywestman.ca. There we got a PDF display. You can open that up, and it's almost like opening up the pages of a paper. Of course, you're doing it on your screen, but you're still getting that impact, and that information, which is what it's all about. Let's shift gears, figuratively, and maybe even in a case literally here, to a new vehicle for the town of Neepawa. The community, the town council has decided that it's time for a change. And that change is in the form of a new fire truck. It's very much needed. And you'll be able to see a representation of that here on the screen. It's going to be a new one that's going to be coming in. This truck is going to be used primarily for rural emergencies, from what I've heard. Kira Patterson wrote up this story. You can find it on page 2 of the Banner Press. This new truck, very much needed. And it's going to be replacing an old truck that's, it's old. 31 years old. This truck has been in the fleet for a while here. It's done its time, it's done its service, but it's time for a new one in there because it needs repair, and it's not like taking it down to Midas or Superlube or Canadian Tire and just getting it fixed there. There's a lot of technical aspects behind these types of machinery that have to be looked after. So the repairs that need to be done on the vehicle that we have right now are a cost of over $40,000. Obviously, after a while, that's going to add up. Over 31 years, the cost of repairing the vehicle is definitely going to outweigh the cost of purchasing something new. And they've reached that pinnacle right now. They've reached that point. The town decided, it is in our best interests. They're purchasing it at a cost of $496,540 plus tax. Now that does sound like a lot of money, and you're starting to wonder, I'm sure, where are they getting the money from? I mean, is my water and sewer going to be going up? No, you're not going to have to worry about that for this in particular. Fortunately, they plan ahead, and they go into the Fire Department Emergency Reserve Fund, which is specifically put together for these types of things. If a purchase is necessary, if it's something that has to be looked after like that, then they're able to look after it. And this is a good example of that. The kitty already has over $500,000 in it, and another 60 or so thousand that's going to be going in, planned to go in for this most recent year. So it's not like it's going to be completely drained, but it is going to look after this. And quite honestly, you'd rather have the truck here and ready to work when you need it, as opposed to, in this case, money in the bank. And it's good to see that the town sees the long-term need and is moving forward on it. Now, it's not going to be here next week. It's not going to be here next month. It takes a while. These things are built, and so they're going through the construction process right now of building this vehicle for the town. So in 2022, it will be here, the new vehicle, and most likely we'll have some nice pictures of it once it arrives. So you'll have to sort of stay tuned to see that. As well, the town of Neepawa did a lot of other things recently. They made the decision they're going to move forward with some upgrades to the roads, to the curbs, sidewalks here in town. It feels like it's a little late in the season. I can understand if you think that. I kind of thought that too when I heard it. But they got to work with who they work with. Maple Leaf Construction Limited, based out of Winnipeg, is going to be doing the work. For smaller communities, you can't do all that on your own. Big cities like Winnipeg, and to a degree Brandon as well, they have their own in-house construction and individuals who are able to do things like that. We have a small array of people who are able to do smaller jobs, but to build a completely new road, we just don't have the capacity or the capability to do something like that. That's why we got to bring in a third party that's going to do it. And when you have a third party, that means you're sort of working on the third party's timeline. And Maple Leaf has other jobs they've done throughout Manitoba this summer. So we've got them coming in. Most likely they're doing the work as we speak, as I'm here sitting with you. And hopefully they'll be able to do it before the first snow hits. The town is optimistic that they'll be able to get it all done before the first snow. And I've been around. I'll believe that when I see it. And I'm not even just, that's not even just a sort of a crack at the town of Neepawa, but having seen how municipal politics works in Brandon, Portage, Winnipeg, up north, it's just, if they say it's going to take a week, it most likely is going to take a month. But I hope very much to be proven wrong, because that's just my opinion. It's not the opinion of NACTV. It's not the opinion of the Neepawa Banner and Press. It's just mine, and opinions can be wrong. So I hope very much to be proven wrong on that. If you're a little curious about where this work is being done, it's going to be part of the new CN property. They're already got a lot of houses up there. They have a few individuals actually in there as well, I found was very intriguing, moving in. So they need a little concrete on the ground to be able to get from their house to work and back again. Because it's a great development that's been happening out there. We've been talking about it feels like forever, at least about 7 years since I've been here. and probably even much longer before that. Ken Waddell, if he were here, would probably be able to tell you the whole history behind it. Thank goodness he's not here, huh? I'll say most likely that's going to be the project they're working on first and foremost. But after that, there's a few other things that they're going to be working on. Most notably, a little section just between Mountain and Davidson is going to be looked after. If you've driven down Mountain, you've seen those little piles of just dirt, just 3 of them actually, pretty much from the highway to Red Apple there. You're going to hit at 3 separate times, 3 different little piles of little dirt and all that, and bumps and road. I can't keep my car clean right now. What's the use of washing it? Because every single day it seems like it's going to get dusty again. But fortunately, they're going to be looking after a part of that. If you're curious about the 200 block of Davidson, though, that big pile, if you've driven by it, you've seen the big piles of dirt, you've seen the big roadblock signs up there, and you've been wondering when exactly they're going to get that done and when exactly they're going to get that paved. Well, I got an answer for you. You might not like the answer, but it's an answer. Most likely, it's not going to be paved this year. It's going to be paved in the spring. Just time restraints make that an impossibility. But they will be allowing access through. They're going to level it off. They're going to make sure that it is accessible, because you've got several businesses down there that I'm sure have been chomping at the bit. Just curious about when they're going to be able to get full access like they had before. The nursery school, the library, MNP, my bank, cashing checks the last little while has been a little interesting, but we're going to have access once again there. And of course, the new development, Kinsman Courts 2, just a little further down the road. That's the reason this work is being done right now, so that they can expand water and sewer capacity on that street so it can handle everything that's going in there at Kinsman Court 2. So that's the reasoning there. So I'm going to walk over to a little further down the road here in Brandon, over to where Margaret Lawrence home is right now, because they're getting a little bit of work done. And this is a story covered by Kira Patterson as well. She did the fire truck story, and she also did this story. It's a picture and cut line in this week's paper where you can see some of the work is going on. They're putting in a new roof down there, and it's so needed right now, because there was actually, I had heard about this, and it's unfortunate. There'd been a little bit of leakage actually in the roof, which is very unfortunate to hear because of the historic context of Margaret Lawrence home to Neepawa. We want to keep this as pristine as possible. So they were able to do a little bit of fundraising, they were able to get a little bit of money, and now they're able to get the work done. It's wonderful to see. And it is going to be done before the first snow hits, most likely. I mean, weather sort of has changed the last couple days. It's feeling a little more like fall right now, so I'm a little fearful about when the snow is going to be following all this rain we've received as of late. But hopefully it'll hold off just a little bit longer, and we'll be able to get that construction done on the Margaret Lawrence home, and of course on the streets, as I talked about just a few minutes ago. All right. We're just flying right through some of these stories here, and one story we've got here is actually from Ken Waddell that I'm going to be sharing with you at this point in time, and it's about the Chamber of Commerce, and they're returning a little bit back to normal with the return of the Business After 5 event. Now, a couple years ago, Business After 5 was this specialty event that they would put on. They'd invite local chamber members, influential people from throughout the community to go to certain businesses, learn a little bit about those businesses, talk to the ownership, talk to the representation, talk to the employees, and just have a nice little meet and greet. One of those nice little things. Obviously, due to COVID-19, we weren't able to do that. We weren't able to gather together like we used to. So they had to put that on ice. But fortunately, things have changed enough. Enough people have a vaccine right now that they're feeling a little more comfortable about it, that they're able to make a return to it. And it was nice to see. Ken went down there on Thursday, October 7th. The very first one was held at the Chamber office at the County Court building. If you've never been in the County Court building, it's a beautiful facility, historic facility. It's great to just even be able to just walk in and just take a look around. If you've never been up on the second floor, oh my God, it's so pristine. I quite honestly, I wish that town council, going off on a tirade here, I do that from time to time, I wish that council would almost do their meetings up there. It's just so spacious, so beautiful, so regal in a lot of ways. But they do it at the town office because they wanted access. Anyone, who may have limited capacity, limited access capabilities, they want them to be able just to walk in and be able to sit down and listen to your council at work. And to do it at the court building, it's not possible because it's on the second floor and they don't have an elevator. So not an interior elevator at the very least. So it's a non-starter. But it's too bad. It's a beautiful building. If you ever do get the chance and you want to see it, I'd say definitely take the opportunity. And that's what a lot of people recently did. They went down to Business After 5 at the Chamber office, which is on the first floor. I'm sure there were a few people that wandered around that building while it was going on, though. And they had a good opportunity. The featured speaker there was Stuart Olmsted. He was talking about the Chamber's insurance plan. Now, I'm not sure how interesting that is. Some of you might be really interested in learning about insurance. That one, I'm glad Ken covered it. I'll just put it that way. And that's no knock against Stuart. I know Stuart. I've talked with him on several different occasions on several different things. He's a well-learned and knowledgeable individual. So it was good that they were able to get him and have him walk everyone through the insurance plan there. It was good that Ken as well was able to be there. He's that type that just sort of loves that little schmoozing, that little interaction. Myself, not so much. I mean, I hate making small talk. Anyone who's watched this show for any extended period of time knows that. But it's still a good meet and greet. It's a good chance to get together with other business leaders in this community and just sort of be able to hash things out, be able to talk about how things are going and the development of the Chamber and its goals. So the Chamber is a very good thing. It's a positive thing. It's and it's wonderful to see that they see the significance of an event like this, an interaction like this, and want to put it on. Hopefully, we will still be able to put it on every month moving forward, but I guess we'll find out. And the reason there's not 100% certainty sort of leans into this next story I'm going to be talking about. Kira Patterson again. God, did I do anything this week? I don't think I did. Maybe I didn't. What was I doing this week? Staring at the ceiling, perhaps, because Kira Patterson did all the work, and she did this work as well. Alonza School, unfortunately, has shifted over from Code Yellow to Code Orange in the COVID-19 protocol. There are several cases, confirmed cases of COVID-19 that have hit the school, requiring that this change take place. Grade 3 class actually has had to move to remote learning for about 2 weeks now. This is the reality that we are in right now. Whether you agree with the restrictions we have in place, whether you disagree with the restrictions we have in place, whether you agree with the vaccine or disagree with it, all this, COVID-19 doesn't care what you think in the grand scheme of things. It really doesn't. And this is an example of that. They're dealing with the situation as best they can. And I've had this conversation in the back with Ken Waddell about that. I don't want us to be going back personally to where we were November 12th of last year, where everything had to shut down again. I don't think we can. We don't have the capacity, we don't have the ability to do this anymore. It would destroy a lot of businesses. Having said that, though, a little precaution goes a long way to making sure that doesn't happen. You know, the mask thing, nobody wants to wear masks. I don't want to wear masks. But it's a little safety thing, just looking out for other people. I didn't want to get the vaccine either, personally, but I did. And again, that's just to look out for people. And there's too many people, I think, that think the vaccine is the cure-all. Don't look at it that way. It's not. It's not a cure-all. It doesn't guarantee you're not going to get COVID-19. All it does is improve your odds of potentially maybe not getting COVID-19. And if you do get COVID-19, it's not going to hit you to the same degree. I'm not saying that's 100% guaranteed. Nothing in life is 100% guaranteed. But any little thing you can do to sort of help improve your odds, it's a good thing. And I hope that Alonza School is going to be able to deal with this. I think they are. There's good people up there. They're trying their best. They're doing what they can. Kira Patterson talks to representatives from the school division about what they're doing. And for me to be able to sort of talk about that here, I don't think I'd honestly do it justice. So you need to pick up a copy of the paper. You can find it, again, on page 10 of this week's edition of the Banner and Press. I think it's a good read. Kira did a great job on that. Kira did a great job on pretty much most of this paper. We've been a little short-staffed this week, and she really stepped up to the plate. So kudos to Kira on that one. As for what I actually did, I did do a little bit of work here, and most of it was kind of fun. It was sports related, because sports is, again, a thing that's happening in and around Neepawa. I am so happy about that. But unfortunately, I'm not 100% happy about the results we saw from that. Let's shift our attention to the Neepawa Titans for the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. They had a couple games this past weekend against the Verdun Oil Capitals. Hopefully you took a little bit of time and watched them, because they are broadcast right here on NAC TV. If you're not able to be down at the arena to see it with your own eyes, you can check it out. You can find the schedule on page 3 of the Banner and Press. You can look it up. You can find where the Titans are playing and check out the games. Wayne Jacobson does a tremendous job as the play-by-play voice. I couldn't do that. No, hockey play-by-play, I think, is one of the hardest jobs in terms of sports commentary, sports play-by-play. I think it's the hardest. Baseball's second, in my opinion, but for different reasons. But Wayne does a tremendous job. And Wayne brought some truth. Maybe you should listen to it for Wayne dropping some truth bombs on that last game that the Neepawa Titans had against the Verdun Oil Capitals, because it wasn't good. It was the worst the teams looked this year. Let's not mince words. The Verdun Oil Capitals outplayed them pretty much from the second period onward. The first period of that game was a 2-1 lead for the Neepawa Titans going into the intermission. They looked good. They looked on par. And if you paid attention to last week's games, they were on par. Both games they played previously were 5-4 decisions in overtime. One for Verdun, one for Neepawa. This week, though, wasn't the same. Verdun ended up winning the game 5-2, and it looked like it could have been a lot worse. Verdun was the one that was continually pushing, putting the pressure on Neepawa. Neepawa were playing like they were holding on to a lead, and that wasn't the case. I think momentum really changed, and you'll see it in the story if you want to take a minute or two to read that, when Captain Austin Klein had to go off. It looked like he had a wrist injury, and I haven't had confirmation on that yet, just waiting for a little more information on that. It appears it is a relatively serious wrist injury. We're going to find out exactly how long Klein will be out, hopefully in the near future. And that was just a momentum shift. When somebody who is well-liked, well-represented, and well-respected in the dressing room, such as Klein, he's the captain of the team after all, it goes out, that can take the wind out of any team's sails. And I think that's essentially what happened. They just exhaled. All the air was just drained right out of them. And it showed, unfortunately, during that game and during the next game the following night in Verdun, where they also lost by an identical 5-2 score. It's too bad. Neepawa deserves to have a winner here, and these youngsters, they're putting in the effort. The coaching staff, everyone's putting in the effort here. And they've fallen this year to 2-3-1 after a bunch of games there. So 2-5-1 after this series of games. Neepawa for far too long just hasn't had a winner here, but they've tried so hard. It's been at least 11 years since they've had a winning season, and that doesn't fall on any one individual. It's just bad luck, really. And hopefully this year will be the year that they're able to turn it around, but we'll see. Hopefully they will be able to. Hopefully they'll be able to follow the success of the Neepawa Tigers football team. They had a game recently as well. You see that segue? That wasn't so bad. The football team played Verdun, and they beat Verdun. And boy, did they ever. A 46-20 final result for the NACI Tigers. That made them 2-1 on the season. Coming up, next week's paper, we'll have a few pictures and some results from a home game they had. And hopefully you'll pay attention to that one, because I suffered a little bit for that one. It was a rainy afternoon. I was out there taking pictures. I was able to last a half, and then I had to call it. The fact that the players, the coaches, and some of the spectators and the officials stayed out there for the whole game, kudos to them. They were much braver souls than I was, because I was like a cat that was dunked in a swimming pool after it was all said and done. So we'll bring you a little bit more of those details and that information in next week's newspaper. But great game for them. They're 2-1 on the season. And it is nice to be able to see this, because this is, to a degree, a return to normal in and around our community. And we want to cover these types of things, but we need your help from time to time to be able to do that. So if you have a story idea, a story suggestion, if you're at a sporting event and you want to send us pictures, please, anything and everything. We'll gladly sort of accept it. We can't guarantee we'll have big space for it, but we're going to try. We're definitely going to try on that. And you can do so by contacting us at news@neepawabanner.com. Or you can call us at 476-3401. That's the number you can reach us at. If you have a news tip, if you have a story suggestion, if you want to send it via email, again, news@neepawabanner.com. Any pictures, whether it's minor hockey, whether it's AAA, whether it's house leagues, we would love any and all of that. I would love just to focus on just that, but they keep making me do regular news, and that's not nearly as fun. So if you have a youngster involved, send it our way. And not just that, figure skating, gymnastics, volleyball, basketball, any and all. Be greatly appreciated. And the same goes for any and all news tips. We'd love to be able to be out there, but we're a small crew. As you can tell, I'm the only one in the office as we record this right now. So your support is greatly appreciated and very much needed. We do the best we can. We thank you for your support. Obviously thank NAC TV as well. They are able to help out with this and getting that message out there. So we continue to work on that partnership, and we'll always move forward on that partnership. So as for this show, we thank you for tuning in. I promise you, next week's show will be better. You won't have to listen to me for a half hour straight. We're going to have interesting people on the other side of the chair, on the other chair next week, I'm sure. And they'll be able to talk with you about their stories. I'll be able to share with you mine. And once again, we'll be able to get through the stories behind the stories. Have a good week.